Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope all of y'all are doing well. So, wanted to film a quick YouTube video talking about a question that I've been asked over 20 times the past week. I'm not exaggerating, 20 times. A lot of people have recently found out that I do business online, I do like online consulting, all that stuff in uni, and people are asking me, like my uni friends are asking me, how do I know what to start? How do I know what to do? All this shit, because there's so many opportunities online. And I figured I'd just film this YouTube video, easy way to give a good explanation to them. But I could give you a bunch of advice, give you a bunch of steps you can take, but the easiest way to actually find out how to make a decision on what you want is to just tell you about how I made it and what makes sense for me. So going into the online space, I knew that I wanted to learn skills, right? I wanted to learn skills, and eventually I wanted to go down the route of Alex Hormozi, and he did private equity. So private equity is basically scaling up businesses and getting a stake in their company and then basically helping them scale up. I knew I wanted to do private equity. And so I broke that down into steps. And so the first step to actually determining what you want to do is find your actual goal, your end goal. And once you find that, then you can figure out what's the steps you got to take. So my first step was to actually learn sales. Every part of private equity, you need to learn how to do sales, you need to know how to close, you need to learn how to speak with conviction, everything like that. You need to learn how to speak with a certain tonality, all that stuff, right? And so my first thing was like, okay, how do I learn sales? How do I become good at sales? The first step wasn't to be a closer, it was to be an appointment setter. Appointment setter, very low barrier to entry, didn't have to pay anyone shit, just worked in the business. And that was my foundation of learning sales. So I learned appointment setting, I was doing it for 3-4 months, and then I transitioned into closing. Right? I transitioned into closing. Closing was where I was actually talking face to face in Zoom calls with these potential prospects and going, like basically selling a product to them. I wasn't selling my own product, I was selling somebody else's product. But the key here is that I'm learning the skills to be able to achieve my end goal, which is private equity, right? So after I learned appointment setting, after I learned closing, then the next step for me was to learn sales management. How do you actually, now that I actually knew the skills, how do I actually transfer the skills into another person? How do I coach someone up? That was the next important step. And so this is where I kind of fucked up. It wasn't perfect, right? At first I started an appointment setting agency because I saw like huge potential in it, but then the fulfillment side wasn't great because I couldn't place everyone and it didn't feel right. I was making around 20K a month, but it didn't feel right because I couldn't fulfill my promise, so I shut down that 20K a month agency. A lot of people call me stupid, but I don't regret it one bit because I believe in the long-term, my long-term reputation is more important than short-term money, basically. So that's why I shut down my 20K per month appointment setting agency. And then I transitioned into sales management, which still taught me that skill, that fundamental skill of coaching others and making them become a better sales rep. I need that private equity, right? So I learned sales management and I came across the idea of being a growth partner through working as a sales manager. I learned what a growth partner was, and essentially a growth partner is doing private equity, but on a much smaller scale. So you're not actually working with big firms, you're not actually working with these companies that have all these shareholder values and all that stuff. These guys are just smaller businesses that are anywhere from 5-6 figures and trying to scale up to 7 figures, right? And so it's much more smaller. But I came across that and it was perfect because that taught me everything that I needed to know, or not everything, but majority of what I needed to know for private equity. And so I knew that was my next step. And so there's a common occurrence throughout this whole process and throughout my whole 2 years in the online space. I didn't lose track of my end goal. I didn't lose track of my vision at the end of the tunnel, and I knew exactly what I wanted, and I made the decisions based on what would get me to that end goal. So to answer your question, you don't need to figure out what's the best side hustle to start right now. You don't need to figure out what's the best business model to start. Figure out your end goal. What do you want to do in the future? Is it private equity? Is it, stocks or whatever? Figure out what you want to do and take the action steps that you need to do to get to that point. That's how you kind of make decisions. That's how you kind of go about your journey, because you have to have a North Star point where you're always basing your decisions off of. Once you have that, all the decisions that come with it become so easy. And being a growth partner was one of the best things that I did, because now I'm working with some huge coaches. I'm talking like millions of followers, and we're gonna launch communities. I've scaled some guys up to, we're on track for 6-figure months. My best performing guy is doing 60K cash collected per month, and I scaled them up from like 5K. And so all of these different client results that I've gotten have taught me the skills, which is the most important part. The most important part is not the money. It's the skills that I got from working in that opportunity, from doing that specific thing. Now, as an 18-year-old in university, I am light years ahead of my peers, because I wasn't just study. I was studying, I still got good grades and shit, but I knew what I wanted to do down the line. I knew school wasn't gonna get me there as fast as I wanted to, so I did the whole journey by myself. And now I'm at a point where I know appointment setting, I know closing, I know sales management, I know how to build up an offer, I know how to market, I know how to post content, I know how to create content, I know how to go viral, I know how to do all these things. And when I eventually get an opportunity to do private equity, I'm gonna absolutely crush it, because I prepared myself these last 2 years to be able to be in a position where once the opportunity comes, I'm gonna take it. I am gonna take it. So yeah, went on kind of a rant there, but the whole point of this video is just, if you want to start something, determine where your end goal is. Determine what your end goal is. Figure out what it is that you want to do. What do you see yourself doing? And when you retire, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. I want to do private equity when I retire, because I love it. I actually enjoy scaling up companies. I enjoy working with people. If you want to live on a beach and just chill and not do work, then that could be like, private equity isn't for you. You have to be very hands-on, but I enjoy being hands-on, right? Yo, my hair is dog shit. All right, cut this shit out, bro. Okay, there we go. But yeah, if you want to be on a beach, then private equity isn't for you, because the end goal is very hands-on. You're putting in a lot of work still, because you're managing all these different companies. But if maybe something like stocks or day trading would be for you. So how do you learn that? What are the first steps you need to take? So maybe it's, networking with all these dudes and then learning from one of the best people. You don't necessarily have to invest in them. Just find a way to work with them while getting mentored for free. That's what I would do. I would always try to avoid paying. That's not good advice, by the way. Don't listen to that advice, but I would always try to avoid paying by doing the work for them, because I not only learn, but I provide value. And when you provide value to someone, people are more likely to teach you. But yeah, I've gotten to a point now where I'd rather pay to learn a specific skill or whatever. And yeah, hopefully this was useful to you guys. The main thing I want you to take away is find your North Star. Find your North Star, find the end goal that you want to achieve, and do the small steps that will lead to you achieving that end goal. So yeah, hope this was valuable, and I'll see you guys in the next one.